early in the count, when they're in the head of the count, they're going to hunt. They're going to hunt for fastballs usually. I mean, that's usually the approach, unless a guy's just somebody that has a scouting report that's been, knows a guy starts them with first pitch sliders or first pitch curveballs, then they might be hunting those, right? And generally they're going to look for that pitch either in or away. And so ambush kind of came about for our game, and very similarly to how it's used in real life. If a guy's throwing 100 plus miles an hour, even 92, actually 93, if they can locate, which generally most big league pitchers can, that plan is going to be for them to like split that plate in half. I'm going to look in or I'm going to look away. And generally that's going to come from years of experience of facing those guys, having really solid scouting reports, similar to what you guys are going to have now this year in MLB The Show. And we'll get to that a little bit later on in this stream. But you got to cheat a little bit, right? So if I'm going to catch up to a 95 mile an hour fastball in, if I'm looking for that, if I'm hunting that fastball in, my hips are going to open up a little bit. I'm going to cheat. And we never really had that in our game. The idea of opening up early on an inside pitch, I got to get that bat head out in front, right? So it's very similar to real life in the physical aspect of cheating and opening that hip and getting your hands out. In the game, we're going to give you a little bit of a boost. That's why the PCI gets bigger, like you already saw, right? The PCI is going to get bigger on the half that you choose, and on the half you don't choose, it gets smaller. And so how that translates to real life is opening up those hips a little early if I'm going to pull a ball, or getting the weight more on the balls of my feet if I'm going to drive the ball the other way, if I'm looking for it on the outer half of the plate. So the idea really stems from real life. It's that same approach that they have in real life. And in our game, it gives you that little advantage of the same advantage you get in real life, that cheating advantage of opening those hips, right? So we're going to give you a little bit of a boost on your timing, and we're going to make your bat bigger. Essentially, that PCI is going to get a little bigger. And then when you guess wrong, and so here's a really good point too. So things that you see when you're watching a big league game on TV, if you guys, a lot of you know this because you're all baseball people, but if you're watching a big league game, you can almost tell what a hitter is looking for based on his reaction. So let's just say a guy's up there, 0-0 count, and he's looking for a fastball in, and you're going to see him open his hips a little bit and start to cheat. If that fastball's thrown on the outer half of the plate for a strike, that pitch to him is going to look like it's probably 3 to 6 inches off the plate because he's looking in. And the same on the opposite side. If I'm looking for a fastball away and that guy busts me in on a fastball in the black, that pitch is going to look like it's 3 to 6 inches in.
Yeah,
okay?
Totally.
Yeah, so you're going to see guys kind of jump back as if the ball's going to hit them because their approach is looking the other way. So essentially it's the same thing in our game. So I know that people have kind of the way that we have our presets for our PCI, and you can sit in certain locations. It kind of starts there. You can do that if you're going to ambush. Personally, I like to use it when I'm ahead in the count.
Yeah.
For me, it's a strategic thing. So I use it very similar to the way I hit in real life and the way I think a lot of major league hitters hit in real life.
So it sounds like, Gil, ambush hitting is completely optional, pitch by pitch by pitch.
It is, and you'll see a little OSD below the strike zone that tells you can select the left side of the plate or the right side of the plate. You can go in the options for the clean screeners out there. You guys could turn that off because once you get the hang of it, you really don't need that up there anymore. And then you can actually, at the very last, you can do it all the way up to the pitch release. So you can go back and forth, and right before he releases the ball, you can be set on which side of the plate you want to be on. And if you, at the last second, don't want it, you can cancel it.
Yeah, so this is just something that you guys are going to be able to use. You're going to have that approach just like MLB players have, kind of what Gil's saying here. And you can kind of pick your spots with it. Like you said, when you're ahead in the count, like I have a 3-1 count, and I think that fastball is coming up and in, I'm going to ambush it, and I'm going to try to make him pay. So it's going to be completely optional. Pick your spots. But it's just another way to kind of have that MLB approach while playing our game.
It is. Well, sorry. The one thing I wanted to say too, I'm going to let Connor talk because I just interrupted. I'm sorry, Connor.
No, I don't mind.
I tend to do that, but I do want to bring this up before I forget. You can go to go on YouTube and just look up a very specific one. You got, I think it was Harold Reynolds was interviewing Freddie Freeman on his grand slam that he hit in the World Series. And he talks about hunting the pitch that he hit out. He was talking about getting, I think he was looking at the scouting report from Ohtani, and he was looking at how the lefty was throwing Ohtani so that he could have a plan when he stepped up to the plate, and he was getting cutters and sliders away. So he said, I didn't want to chase. I wanted to look for something in, and he hoped that he would throw him something middle in. Well, sure enough, he got that pitch, right? So that's exactly what ambush hitting is. And that's exactly what Freddie Freeman did at that time at the plate. And they all do it, right? Yeah, I talked to big leaguers that come in here, and I love this. Throughout development for the last 8 or 9 months, we've had different big leaguers come in here. Colin's had guys come in here. He comes and introduces them to us. And all the position players that come in, every single one of them, I talk to them about this new mechanic in the game. And half of those guys love playing our game. So they know how it translates from real life into our game. And so they're super excited about the feature.
Yeah, and it's just going to be that layer, an extra layer of hitting and pitching, right? That song and dance you have with the guy throwing the ball.
Totally.
And
yeah, I think, Connor, why don't you talk about the pitching side of it too?
Totally.
Because this isn't just for hitters.
Yeah, I think before we dive into the pitching side, Colin, if you don't mind, can you pull up the
They can pay. It might just be a little harder to time it up if you are picking the wrong side of the plate, right?
Just slightly on the timing side of things. It's
Yeah.
just really more of just the bat getting a little bit smaller. So yeah, there is a penalty on the opposite side for sure.
Yeah, I'm seeing tons of W's in the chat. We're so excited to get you guys this feature in 25. I think it's really going to change the way you play as a hitter and as a pitcher, like Connor mentioned. So,
And
really,
to just
really good
address
stuff.
a question real quick that I have been seeing in chat, this is not the same as guest pitch, right, Gil Connor? The pitcher has no idea which side of the plate I'm ambushing.
Yeah, we should correct that for sure. Make sure people totally understand it. It's nothing. It's similar in terms of like you're looking for a location. But one of the things, and I'll go back to what I said about choosing one half of the plate, you're not going to know whether the guy's throwing in that zone. The guess pitch feature actually will highlight, if you guess correctly, it'll highlight. You could do both. You could guess the location, you can guess the pitch type, and you get different feedback, but it's always going to tell you before it gets to the plate. And that's the arcadey style of it, right? So this is actually a real sim. This is you just essentially getting a little boost for things that you were kind of already doing before, maybe looking in or looking away, but you're getting that cheat.
Yeah, and remember, this is completely optional. It's by pitch. Like if you like it one pitch, you can use it. You don't have to use it. You can always cancel out by clicking R3.
Yeah.
So tons of flexibility for hitters. You can use this to your advantage, or you can just continue to hit the way you like to hit before.
Yeah, and the other thing that's cool is like I talk to people around the studio, guys that have been playing this for the last couple of months since it's been finished, and everybody has like a totally different like kind of approach to the way that they do it. The guy that's sitting next to me here that's actually playing the game, Dre's
Shout out Dre.
Shout out Dre. Dre, well, what's your approach? What do you like to do?
I like to sit on the handedness of the pitcher. So, for instance, if I have a right-handed batter and it's a right-handed pitcher, I'm probably going to ambush to the inside of the zone. But if it's a right-handed batter and it's a lefty, then I'm going to set that ambush to the outer side of the zone, just because that's where I like to set my PCI at when the ball's coming in. So it's just easier for me to keep it on that side. So if he wants to pick that side and I'm already on that side, should be good money.
Yeah, there you go. And I think he also told me the same thing kind of I do is I don't really use it with 2 strikes or when I'm behind in the count. I always use it when I'm ahead in the count. Every once in a while I will. Every once in a while. I'm telling you, Ashley.
Gotta throw them off their rhythm. I mean, you can tell me, Gil. I'm not taking notes over here.
Yeah, we can't give out our full plans.
I think another thing to note is you can still use PCI Anchor with this addition as well,
Yes.
which is very cool. And in terms of PCI Anchor, we've added a few just quality of life things. Dre, if you don't mind.
Updates for you all, and we're gonna start with ambush hitting. What is it?
Ambush hitting. Everybody's wondering. Well, all of you that know baseball lingo, ambushing a fastball would be like teeing off on a first pitch fastball, inside or outside. You're looking away or you're looking in and you just smoke it. Perfect, right? It's an extension of our zone hitting mechanic. So yeah, super excited to have this new feature in the game.
So then you bring it from the baseball perspective. How do our fans then do it within MLB The Show? How can they predict the pitches?
Yeah, so that's super cool, and I'm so excited about this. Obviously, we're all baseball people here, and having experience playing in real life, understanding what it's like to face a 95-mile-an-hour fastball, let alone 105-mile-an-hour nowadays, these guys in the big leagues, you got to have a plan when you come to the plate. These guys can't walk up to the plate, look for a fastball in, and look for a fastball away. You just can't do it. So especially when you're ahead in the count, ambush hitting gives you the ability to kind of attack and have your own little scouting report and plan based on how that pitcher's attacking you that day. So if I look for a fastball in, I move the right stick to the left if I'm a right-handed hitter, and I can jump on that inside fastball. And what it does is it gives you a little bit of an edge. It gives you like basically a bigger bat and a little better timing window, right? But if I guess wrong, it's going to shrink that PCI. So on the opposite side, probably shrinks it about 2 difficulties higher, and your timing slightly worse. But it doesn't mean you can't hit a mistake when you guess the wrong side. So just like in real life, Ashley, like if I'm looking away for a fastball and somebody hangs me a curveball, I can still move my PCI. It lights my eyes up and he hangs it. I can still hit a perfect. So it doesn't take anything away from you other than the size of your bat.
No, that's perfect, Gil. It's great to see that prediction within the game. I mean, I know I've hung some curveballs for you. I can only imagine if you had ambush hitting at that time, what that could have resulted in.
Yeah, you got payback coming to me. I know.
Oh, I got you. But the cool thing is, too, is like I know for me, I use a PCI when I'm playing, and so I'm always leaning a little bit inside or leaning a little bit outside, but now I have that extra motivator with ambush hitting. That's going to reward me when I guess inside correctly. A pitch comes inside, boom, I demolish it. Or if a pitch is outside but I'm guessing inside, I still have time to make up that window.
I was just going to say, on the pitching side of things, I think it's a game changer as well. You're not going to see in online play what your opponents, which way they're ambushing. So it's constantly going to be a cat and mouse game and a guess of, are they sitting inside on a sinker or what are they doing? And I think that's one of the coolest things is it's going to impact everything.
And it's also an option that you can either opt in or not, right? And so essentially, like you were saying, you're already sitting with your PCI in if you're looking in, right? You're already sitting with your PCI out, or you're locking it in a position based on how you like to move the PCI or what feels most comfortable for you. So you can either opt in or not. And for me, playing this game, I like using it ahead in the count, right? So as long as I'm not behind in the count, then I'm using my ambush hitting. And, you know, if I'm looking inside and he throws it away, I just let it go. If I'm looking away, he throws it inside, I just let it go. I get to 2 strikes. I don't use it anymore. And now I'm just battling up there.
Yeah, so I'm hearing, you know, you get to pick a side on the plate. You get to zero in. This is all optional. Remember that as a hitter. And that PCI is going to scale to your benefit, or it could actually hurt you if you pick the wrong side. And I can't wait to go through this in the live portion, and we can kind of talk more about it.
The more questions we go through, more topics, we will have another quick Q&A section at the very end. But for now, we will move on from ambush hitting and talk the new fielding throwing meter.
Let's do it. Did you want to throw up that the vision on the screen, and then behind the scenes here, we're going to change what
some of our dev kits. The throw meter, you're going to have, you know, based on a player's arm accuracy, you're going to get that bigger blue zone for perfect throws. So you're going to have to make a decision on who you want in the field. Do you want that power bat, or do you want a little more arm accuracy for some of these guys throwing the ball?
Yeah, so let's just talk a little bit about reaction time, okay? So let's get into one of the bigger changes. And we talked about it a little bit in the stream right before this. You guys heard me talking about how we've had outfield start transition animations in the game for quite some time. That opened up the offense a little bit more for more doubles to land, right?
Tons of gappers in the outfield, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think essentially the problem that we had was when you have everybody, you know, doing the perfect jump every single time, all you could rely on was speed. So if I had a slow guy in the outfield, maybe he wouldn't get to a gapper, where if I had a fast guy, he would get to that ball. We changed that years ago, and that made a huge difference in allowing, you know, the offensive side to get what they deserved, you know, the gappers and the balls down the line. So you'll see really bad jumps. So we have misjudges, which are different than the start transitions. We have 4 layers of start transitions in the outfield. They're very specific. Like on line drives hit right at an outfielder, depending on their attribute, if I have a low-rated guy, a lot of times you'll see him get what we call a misjudge. So they'll take a step forward and go, oh, darn, and then have to go back to go get the ball, right? On balls hit to their right or to their left, they might jab, you know, to the opposite direction and then go to the right direction. And that is how we're able to separate talent and ability and make a big difference of making defense matter, right? And so when let's just say if I'm in DD, and this matters everywhere you're playing across our game, but if I'm in DD and I care about I need to care about my defense, I'm going to be giving up more runs than I should be, depending on who I have out there in the outfield. So I'm really going to look for guys that are at least 70 up in the outfield. So like on average, I'm going to get better jumps in the outfield and get those balls. So what we did this year, was we brought that to the infield. And so what's hard in terms of animation and speed, we already had reaction time for infielders, but that's different than what we added, okay? Reaction time for infielders used to just mean how quickly you move when the ball hit the bat.
Right.
And generally, your corner infielders are going to move before your middle infielders are going to move. And so there were very specific times, hundreds of seconds, and it really didn't make a huge difference in terms of getting to a ball or not. So what we did is we added animations where the perfect jump for an infielder on a start transition is literally just a crossover straight to where the ball is going. And the green, which is still good, is a very slight hundredths of a second difference in timing where he takes a slight like stutter step.
But
and
even
then
that
goes.
hundredth of a second we've talked about makes a difference between a hit.
Yeah. And
out.
and then the worst is going to be your common infielders, your bronze infielders. These guys are going to get a lot of, that jab step before they go to the right or their left. And so aesthetically, when you watch the game, it's not going to look weird. If you put like the same thing we did in the outfield, if you put that in the infield, it wouldn't make sense. Infielders just don't move the wrong way.
Right.
They see the ball and they move, but the timing is really important. And that's where the attributes matter. So now if I got a ball, I can hit the ball in the same thing you just saw in the video before this stream. If you guys were tuned in, you saw the exact same hit. You saw 3 different plays. You saw a guy get to it easy with a blue start transition. That's a perfect.
Yep.
You saw a guy have to dive with a green start transition, the exact same hit. And then with the yellow start trans, he didn't even get to the ball.
Yeah.
So now what that does very specifically is it opens the offense up again, right? So now the defense is going to matter. I want guys that are out there, like I said, 70s and above, and it's scaled. So, you got your lower guys there, you're going to get tons of yellows. You get your higher guys there, you're going to get a bunch of greens and perfects.
Yeah.
So
keep that in mind. Like, we want you to know that if you get that blue perfect start transition, you're going to be able to make the out. The green, it might take a slide. You might still be able to get it on your feet, but the yellows are going to really hurt you if you have a poor defender there in the infield.
Yeah, and it's like, and we were talking about this a little bit before the stream. Ashley and I were talking about, baseball's funny. A lot of stuff you don't really see in the stats in baseball. It takes a lot of time for you to see a difference in things. These are all Major League Baseball players, right? So when you're making a video game, you obviously have to make a difference. And some guys make errors and some guys make no errors. And so part of making this game as realistic as possible, we also have to understand the game needs to be fun and balanced, right? And so that is the challenge year in and year out that we have. And so when you talk about these start transitions and making sure that, you're getting the guys doing the right thing over time, Ashley and I were talking if you're a 950 fielder in the big leagues, you're not very good. Sorry, you're just not.
Which is crazy because you're making a play nine
more than 9 out of 10 times. So
Right.
people need to think about that. If you're a Major League Baseball player, it's not like I'm a terrible 3-point shooter, so I never shoot from 3 points. Because in basketball, you're either really good at it or you're not. And even the best ones have bad nights, right? In baseball, they're all making the routine plays, or they're not going to be out there. They're not going to be in the big leagues, right? And so that's why these averages, even though, it's funny because on defense, you get these, you're bad. I say bad, I'm sorry. But you know what I mean.
They're great players, but relative.
Great players are going to be higher up to
Yes.
closer to 1,000 over time. And that's over, 162 games, right? So that these guys are playing. Whereas when you're hitting, obviously, getting 300 these days is very difficult.
And you mentioned, we want to also make this fun, and we know that our fans have been very, very good at the traditional throw meter. We moved it a few years back. Everybody's now used to it. Now we add even more nuance by moving that blue region to the very end to keep challenging, having more high risk, high reward, to also make it as similar as possible to what we're seeing on the field as we're watching games in the evening. And Gail, I want to touch back to a point that you called out so perfectly. We have a lot of Diamond Dynasty audience tuning into this stream, and we have the year-long power curve returning, meaning we went from all 99s pretty much all of last year That's not going to happen. We're going to see more and more of these misjudges as people are fielding silvers, golds, low diamonds. They're going to have a smaller green region, smaller blue region, and it's going to be a little bit more difficult. So off the rip on launch night, our fans are going to experience more and more of these fielding nuances that we're trying to implement with this new throw meter. So y'all, you're warned now. There's going to be some errors.
On screen now is a perfect example of what you can expect from a common fielder. You're going to see the common badge that showed up under the feet of that outfielder. He wasn't able to get to that fly ball because of his reaction. It's just the way the dice rolled, and I shouldn't say the way the dice rolled, but it's just the way that it played out. Because of his attributes, he's more likely to receive that misjudge, that red jump, whereas with a diamond, you would never see that.
Yeah.
So that just goes to show the importance of fielding. And Colin, this guy just got a yellow jump as well, you're going to see this is a lot more common, and we're trying to expose these things that are happening under the hood to all of you to be able to make those informed decisions as for exactly what players' attributes are doing. Colin, if you don't mind, can you display the reaction visual?
Oh, you got the perfect
arm accuracy, the reaction ones. Apologies. Okay, well, they saw it earlier. Basically, reaction is changing based on the specific hit type, and those numbers are going to scale. The hit we showed in the video prior to this, a 99 was going to get a perfect jump 100% of the time, whereas a 50, I believe it was around 11% of the time that you get a perfect jump. I can't remember exactly what it was, but something around that. And those numbers are changing dynamically based on the hit. And then obviously with outfielders, you have that added level of red misjudges that they can get, which you guys saw a few plays ago. So
yeah. So what we're trying to just show you guys is that, we're doing a lot of stuff with defense under the hood. We're trying to show you guys that more with these jumps, with the blues, with the yellows, with the greens, and then the outfielders even have the reds. The badges under are going to show you what these guys are good at, what they're not so good at, and you can use all that information to build your best lineup.
Yeah, I think a couple things to note here as you're watching Dre. We just finally got this set up. You saw me scrambling over here on these widgets trying to get the right setup. Dre's having trouble getting behind the ball there. I try to work with him. You gotta get behind that ball, Dre. Seriously, let's go. So a couple things. One is the throw meter. So I think Ashley started talking about the throw meter, right? And why we put the blue at the end. And so in real life, again, like everything we try to do is to just complement real life and be the best sim we possibly can. We know how difficult it is to get assist from the outfield. It's extremely difficult. Even if I'm a 99 guy, it's hard to throw a perfect dime all the way to third from right field or all the way to home from any position in the outfield. Part of what Connor was talking about was getting the bigger blue region, the bigger perfect region if I'm a better outfielder, right? So that's going to help if I have a 99 versus having a common guy out there where it's just going to be a sliver, and potentially on a really far throw he's not going to have anything, but it depends on his arm strength attribute and his accuracy and all of that goes into combination, right? But the idea of moving the blue to the end, obviously we just needed more risk. It was such a high reward before, and having it in the middle of the green, there was zero risk.
Yeah.
Because honestly, if you miss, you still got a good throw where the guy was still rooted at the base and was able to make a decent throw and put a good tag on the guy coming into the base. So playing it at the end, situationally, I think it's probably going to be a little bit different how you use it. If I'm way ahead in the game and I really don't care, I'm going for it every time just because it's fun.
Yeah.
I might as well try to get the perfect, right?
Or even in a high leverage situation.
If I'm in a sweaty game,
yeah,
right? And let's just say I'm up by 2 and it's second and third. I'm just throwing a green to third, trying to keep that runner from second going to third and stay up by 1 run.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to go perfect blue to home and nail that guy. It makes no sense
just take
with less than 2 outs, right? So it's a strategic thing too in terms of how you play it. But like I said before, you can still, if you're really good on the sticks, you can get used to it and you can hit it a lot more often than others. And people here are better than others, and they're showing that and proving that. So it's still possible, but it is a risk.
Yeah, I will say, just play testing the new throw meter. Like, you don't know pressure until you're playing MLB The 25 and you need to get a perfect when the game's on the line. Like, having it at the end of the green window is such a risk reward, like you talked about, but it makes for really fun and attentive defense, which is kind of what we want, right?
Yeah, totally.
Absolutely. Again, everybody, keep your questions going. We're going to be moving on a little bit from our throw meter. We'll jump back at the very end for any last questions that you all throw in chat that we can answer best up until launch. But Connor, talk to us about attribute exposure. Our fans have been seeing all these little different symbols, all the different colors. What are we looking at here?
I mean, you just saw Dre struggling because of his attributes. Dre, if you don't mind, hold R2 and click the right stick, please. What you're going to see here are all the badges we're showing under the player's feet, minus the, which one are we not showing? Arm strength. What you're going to see is everybody's fielding attributes. So 53 fielding for Brian Reynolds, who keeps messing up in left right now. Common fielder, 50 reaction, 56 arm accuracy. Basically what we're doing is exposing the players that are struggling on specific plays when they're struggling, and really showing when those guys are getting great, when those diamond players are doing things exceptionally well consistently. We're trying to basically show the good players doing good things and expose why a player is not doing something successfully.
Yeah, you hit it. You hit it well, Connor. I mean, so you're not gonna, if you have like an 80 guy out there gold, you're not going to see any icons, and the reason being is because we're essentially trying to show you the reason why this guy keeps making mistakes is because he's a bronze or common player. So we're just force feeding you an example of why maybe this guy made an error, and then it's a reminder, I got to replace this guy. I got to get somebody better out there. I got to go, get another card to fill this team, right? I got to get somebody because he's killing me out here, right? And on the flip side of that, it's rewarding those of you that have those diamond fielders out there on defense, and it's showing, hey, look, I made this play. I made this great diving play, or I made this perfect throw because I had a 98 guy out there,
because the attributes matter.
Guy out there because the attributes do matter. So that's what we're showing. We're not gonna inundate you with icons every single time something's happening. There's a meaning behind them, and that's why we're putting them up there. And again, like everything you see on the screen, you have the option to turn them off. You don't have to play with these on. So it's really just for you. If you want them on there, you can go into options and turn them off if you want clean screen.
And to jump in real quick, everyone saw all those shields. The ratings are not final, but you can have a good example with that screen. But Connor, could you remind the people, how do they get that screen to pop up as they're playing?
In previous years, it was just clicking the right stick down. With the implementation of PCI or of ambush hitting, we needed to free up space because resetting your PCI ambush is via the right stick. So now R2 plus R3 is what's going to pull up this screen.
Yeah, this is great. It's really nice being able to just see the blue jump, that perfect jump, and then you go in and you go, oh yeah, this guy's a great defender. It just kind of makes everything make sense and tells that story for each player as to why they have good jumps or why they might not have so good jumps.
Yeah, Dre just made a play right there, and he was just surprised by that diamond fielder, and he dove over the ball, but you could see the difference. That's almost the exact same hit. He didn't need to dive on the first one. He could have got that standing up. He just kind of spazzed out on the buttons there for a second.
Dre just likes the theatrics,
yeah.
you know?
He's getting a little sweaty because he knows we're on camera, and he's trying to be perfect here. So, but what you can tell is when you see these balls hit, honestly, when you see a blue start transition and the guy doesn't get to the ball, you can pretty much guess that nobody's going to get to that ball. And if you see a yellow and he gets close to it, you can pretty much guess that a green or a blue would have got to that ball.
Uh-oh, perfect.
Colin's alarm went off.
That was a good effort.
Topic alarm.
So attribute exposure, y'all see it right there. Everything is mattering when you're playing defense, different attributes affecting different motions of the defensive play. But I've been seeing a lot of it in chat. Two things, and it's the sweeper and it's the GOAT difficulty. Connor, is the sweeper pitch new this year?
Yes, it is new to this year's game. A lot of players have it. Skeens has a really good one. I believe Otani has one as well. But it's a new pitch, definitely something to look out for.
And it's not replacing the slider. Don't worry. It's a new pitch. You're going to see it added to, 160 players in the roster?
It's added to
essentially
whoever has it.
Yeah, anyone that has it will have it in the game, which is really exciting. But it's a whole new look. People are using it more and more in real life, so it makes sense to it makes more sense to add it to the game, right?
Yeah, for sure. And speaking of high risk, high reward, I mean, GOAT difficulty, Ashley, you brought that up. I mean, essentially it's just a new difficulty level, right? And it's not for everybody, of course. No. I mean, GOAT difficulty is for the best of the best, for sure. But we threw that out there just in terms of wanting to challenge people that are exceptional at the game. And honestly, it's just another milestone to try to reach, right? Like, we got Legend. I'm watching guys on streams who are psycho players that are literally scoring 14 runs on Legend, which I have no idea how they do this. Putting those guys on GOAT, let's see how they perform. All right. So why don't you throw a little bit of tidbits out there about how we're going to use GOAT?
Yeah, absolutely. So GOAT, once again, it's not going to be in everything, but you will have the opportunity to see GOAT difficulty, play through GOAT difficulty. If you reach 1,000+ rating in ranked, you will no longer be on Legend still. You will be on GOAT. I know y'all have seen some weekend classic teasers. Yes, you will also be on GOAT difficulty in the highest reward division. And then lastly, yes, it will be included in esports. More details for when you might see it later on. And then GOAT difficulty will be an option in most single player modes, just like Rookie, Veteran, All-Star, Hall of Fame, Legend. You have the opportunity to choose it. But in terms of online play, you're going to see it in the very rare 1,000+ ranked rating, the highest division in weekend classic. So don't worry. If it takes you a little while to get to GOAT, odds are you're not going to see it for a little bit, so it's going to be okay. I'm just subtweeting myself. I will not be seeing GOAT difficulty with 1,000+ rating.
I was going to say, this is for the best of the best. The pitches are going to come in fast. The breaks are going to be even more. We're excited to get it in for that tier of player.
Yeah,
but,
for sure.
I mean, guys like me, we're not going to be touching GOAT.
Drago, I mean, he kills it at the sticks.
I can't hit successfully on it, but from a gameplay standpoint, what you're going to really see is smaller PCI, bigger breaks, and on the pitching side of things, for hitting as well, smaller PCI, decreased timing window, so it's going to be much more challenging to square something up. And then also on the pitching side of things, your par is going to grow as well, so it's going to be a little bit harder to locate your pitches. And on top of that, the criteria for pinpoint is slightly more challenging as well.
What is par, Connor? Like, there a lot of people here probably don't even know what par is.
Par is your perfect accuracy region. If you get a perfect pitch with pinpoint, meter or pure analog, you're going to the pitch will land on or within that region.
So it's a little display that comes up on the screen, right?
And it guarantees you'll be in that section of the plate. Yeah,
correct.
That's GOAT. So, yeah, we're excited for you guys to get your hands on it. The people that, are top-tier players will get to have a little bit more of a challenge. We talked a little bit about this in the pre-record. There's the new home run rob meter, which is something that I know a lot of people should be excited for.
Home run rob meter.
Are we cooking with gas?
Are we cooking?
Yeah, he's been doing the Rob home run meter. I haven't been paying attention to anything you guys are talking about. I'm over here trying to get straightened out with this, getting these hits in here.
There we go. Oh.
Yeah, this is the beauty of doing things live.
Let's go. So, yeah, you can see the new home run meter.
We got it. This is just so everybody knows, this is a different setup in this room here where they do all the videoing and for these streams that we're doing. So we're not used to how they have things set up. So we're kind of struggling with these widgets. It's not set up the way that we have it, but we're set now.
Yeah,
we got some Rob home runs. I think we described. Is there anything more in Rob home runs you guys want to talk about? I think we're good.
We stopped talking about it while you guys were.
Yeah, look at that. He's hanging on the.
He's just showing it here is perfect.
Yeah, he's killing it. I love it. But there's some questions that we had to answer too. Is that from the community? Were we going to talk about some of the? I saw a couple fielding ones. There was one that stuck out to me, Ashley, and someone was asking why. Can we go to the questions? Is that cool?
Yeah, let's do it.
Absolutely, let's do it.
All right, I didn't want to get off track.
It's
I don't want to get yelled at when this thing's over. But I did want to hit on a couple of these questions. So one of them, some guy asked, why does my infielder keep running after he catches the ball sometimes before he throws it? And so it's hard for me to know exactly what he's saying, but I think I know what he means. And so going back the years, there's a lot of people probably listening today that haven't played our game for years, but most of you guys are probably veterans at playing the game, and you understand how important preloading your throw is. And preloading means that you have to throw the ball before you catch it. You don't have to, but if you throw the ball before the attach frame, so when the ball attaches to the glove on any single catch, you're going to get the absolute very best throw you possibly can get based on that player's fielding ability. Okay, so what that means is if I have, let's say, a bronze guy at shortstop, I'll give you an example, and I go in the hole and I wait for him to catch the ball and then I throw. The way we do our animations is he's going to run out of the catch. So he's going to take a couple extra steps if you don't throw at all, and then he's going to stop. Okay? And then what we do is we have branch points within each one of those moves. So each foot that goes down, we have another branch point. So right at the catch, left foot down or right foot down, then left foot down or right foot down, and they can throw on either one. So if you miss the branch point, you're going to hit the very next one. And then at the very end, if you don't do anything at all, you throw from the standing pose, whatever pose he's in at the end. So that's the different layers, and that's kind of how we built our tiered system. So our tiered system works this way. Even if I preload and I got a common guy playing shortstop, he's he's going to miss that first branch point the majority of the time. He's going to hit the next foot down or the second foot down. And that's what I think this kid was asking. I shouldn't say kid. It could be a man, it could be a woman, could be anybody. I don't know who asked the question. But that's what he's probably talking about. And I'll say that if you preload your throw, then no matter what, the attributes are going to take care of the rest. So essentially the lower tier guys are going to miss that first branch point. If I have a 99 guy, I'm going to hit that first branch point every single time, get the most efficient throw possible. And that's how the tiered system works.
Right. And that goes into preloading your throws is so important, but then also the attributes will make a difference. Just like these reactions, just like, the outfielder jumps, the branch points too, like having those guys that can play defense is really going to matter.